and welcome to my PBQ Weathering the Changes. As you can see, the navigation of the PBQ is to the left of the page, and it has the welcome page, which we are currently on right now, and the other pages are landforms and weather patterns, project design, directions, roles, evaluation, conclusion, and teachers page. So you can see from the welcome page, it's just a brief introduction of what this project will be about. And there are pictures of different land formations here for children to look over. I just wanted to give students a few pictures of different landforms just to get them acclimated with what they're going to be doing in this project. Okay, and on our second page, landforms and weather patterns, I wanted to give students a brief summary of the different landforms and weather patterns that we've gone through, and there are several hyperlinks inserted on this page as well. And down here are the different weathering processes, and if you can see here, the weathering on rocks, types of weathering, physical weathering, and chemical weathering. It's a link to different types of weathering that students can explore to see what they would like to further study for their project. And our next page is my project design page. It's just telling students what will they do. So for this project, students are going to be placed into different groups of 4, and they will create a landform using different materials to replicate the landform and to test weathering effects. I wanted students to focus on how weathering affects how landforms change, their transformations, and follow the patterns of what happens in these changes. And their directions are here on the next page. There's the breakdown. So first off, students have to pick what landform they would like to explore. I want students to look at different types of landforms, some that they've maybe never even heard of or have come across, depending on where they live. Like in California, you don't really see a lot of glaciers. So they could study how weathering affects glaciers, or they could study sand dunes and see what kind of weather affects sand dunes. And the weathering process is which weathering process would they like to see. For this portion, I just want them to choose one weathering process that they would like to imitate. So you can't really replicate a weathering process accurately, but I want them to think creatively about how they can try to imitate it. Like they could build a landform and place it in front of a fan and see how wind can change a landform. Like if you put a sand dune in front of a fan, you're going to see the sand blowing, and they'll understand like, oh, okay, if the wind is blowing in a sand dune, then the sand is going to change shapes, maybe form different sand dunes, or they'll go completely flat. You don't know, and that's what I want students to really focus on in this project. This project will go on for approximately 2 weeks. They'll be given time to create their landform and have enough time to see how the weathering process will affect the landform. I want students to document their findings and share it with their classmates. And for the culminating project, their finishing touch, students are going to present their projects in any manner that they choose. They can do a PowerPoint or snag it. They can make a YouTube video. They can bring the landform in, whichever one they would like to do. And they'll talk about their landforms and explain the weathering process as well. Next are roles. There are 4 different roles for this project. There's a discussion leader, data collector, data analyzer, and master collector. The discussion leader is going to be in charge of all the group discussions. They're going to take notes during the meetings to keep records, and this person's main role is to make sure that each student gets time to speak, and that while that student is speaking, there is no one else interrupting them, just so it's fair and they get their fair chance to talk about what they want to talk about. The data collector, this person is going to be responsible for taking notes as they see the landform change over time. They can log these notes however they would choose to. They can make charts or graphs or simply take notes. Whatever this person chooses, they have to make sure the notes are understandable and to date them. For the data analyzer, this person is going to be interpreting the data and writing explanations of the process. Like what rate is the weathering happening, or if this rate keeps up, then what would happen to the landform? Are there any changes in the weather that would alter the course of weathering? And lastly, there is the master collector. This person is going to collect the information from each group member and file them and organize them and then make it presentable. Together, these students have to choose what landform they would like to learn about and at least one weathering process. Students will be evaluated on their level of understanding of the concept by taking quizzes created by the teacher, and these quizzes will be based on the information given to them by their classmates. Quizzes are going to be taken online and submitted to the teacher through school email, and for extra credit, students can create their own quiz questions and submit them to be added to the test. And their evaluation rubric for weathering is right here as an external document. In the conclusion, basically, I want students to really understand how weathering processes change landforms. Like if you compared a picture of California now to maybe 20 years ago, they would see that there are several different changes to the coastline because of the weather. And once students understand, like, okay, weathering has long-term effects. Like, we are affected by the weather maybe a couple of times a day. Like, the wind is blowing or the rain is hitting us hard. But I want them to really understand there are long-lasting effects and to be able to name the weathering processes by their scientific names. This is the teacher's page. This standard is for 4th grade Earth Sciences. Waves, wind, water, and ice shape and reshape the land surface. As a basis for understanding this concept, students know some changes in the earth are due to slow processes, such as erosion, and some changes are due to rapid processes, such as landslides, volcanic eruption, and earthquakes. Students know moving water erodes landforms, reshaping the land by taking away from some places and depositing it as pebbles, sand, silt, and mud in others. So, as I said previously, students have approximately 2 weeks to complete this project. Most of the creation and development of the landforms will take place at home, but they will also be given time to plan their project in the classroom. And that is my PBQ. Thanks for listening.